Hello, everyone. This is Bonnie from Bonnie's Bargains, and thank you so much for joining me today. Happy Mass Monday. Today, I'll be doing a collab with Miss Jackie Russell, and we will have giveaways. Jackie, please know how much I appreciate you doing this collab with me. It means so much, and I always love doing collabs with my friends. So Jackie and I decided that we will list a number of jobs that we've held in our lifetime. And in one of those jobs, what was our most embarrassing moments? Even though I have many, wow, this one I'll never forget for the rest of my life. But before I go on about that, I will tell you that Wendy Jean sent me these under eye mask, and it is Wendy Jean's unboxing. So thank you very much, Wendy Jean. And again, they're EMOSs, and this is what they came in, and I've already taken them out, but they're feeling good, and there's still serum in here, so I will definitely use that. I think I'm going to go ahead and put it in my hands. And this is what they were in. So, okay, so first of all, I hope you guys are having a great day. Wow, it's sunny and great in Utah. I'm so glad to see the summer. So, before I go into my story, I just want to tell you, looking back and thinking about all the different kind of jobs I had, you start at the bottom and you have just so many memories of the people that you work with, your bosses. So you should really sit down and think about it. It's pretty funny. Okay, so I actually was a waitress at a place called the BS Cafe, and it was in Clayton, Alabama. I was an assistant manager of a Dollar Tree. It's not like the Dollar Trees that we have now, but back then it was called a Dollar Tree in the small town of Clayton, Alabama. I was a secretary for Price Better Built Homes, and my office was actually in a model home, and people would come in and I would show the home. And also then when we sold the home, I would help with the administrative work. So that was a very interesting job. And that was in a place called, I can't remember the name now. It was about 30 minutes from my home. So I drove there every day and back, of course. I was a cashier for the dime store in Clayton, Alabama. The dime store was almost like a general store. I also helped them with doing inventory, and we did manual inventory, so we had to take a pad and a pencil and write down everything, and we were divided in groups. But at the end of the day, you would be so tired and sometimes dirty from sitting on the wood floor. But wow, I remember that. That would make for a long day. I also, when I first got married, I worked at a place called Sylvest Farms in Montgomery, Alabama. And I would do tickets for the weight of the chicken. And like we had Albertsons and a lot of other different grocery stores, and I would do the tickets and figure up the pounds of the chicken that we sold. And then I would also do payroll for when the lady that was actually the payroll manager, when she was out, and we had this huge machine, and you would have to input it, and then it would spit out these tickets, these long tickets, and you had to keep these tickets because it verified the payroll if you got something wrong. It was, that boy was that way back in the day. I also worked at several gas companies, and what I did was accept money, and they'd bring in their bills, and I would stamp it paid. I would take in the money, or then if somebody thought their gasoline bill was too high or too low or something was wrong, I would send the meter people out to check the meters and so forth, so on. That was a really good job. And then we actually had big books that we had to go through with meter readings to get the bill in place. And we'd have to send all this information to our headquarters, which was in Dothan, Alabama, for them to produce the bill and send the bill out. And then I worked for a petroleum company, is what it was called, because we had barges to come in, and they would unload diesel, and then we had people that came in on trucks all day long, either to pick up diesel fuel, or different types of gasoline, leaded, unleaded. And so they got these tickets of how much they unloaded, beginning and ending number, and I would sit there and do the tickets for all of these people coming in and out. And we also we had a billing person that would take these tickets and then know how much to bill the companies. So that was a very interesting job, and you got to meet the truck drivers, and it was so many different personalities. Some was very talkative, some just wanted to sit in the waiting room and sleep till you figured out their tickets, or they got loaded. It was fun. It was a really fun job, and that was in Panama City Beach, Florida. I also worked at many banks. I worked as a cashier, the credit department. I worked in one area where when somebody put insurance or something like a car, I had to call and make sure that they, in a year's time, if they still had insurance or car, so forth, so on. So if they ever went bad on their loan, then we would have the collateral. So, and that was very interesting. And I worked in the bond department, new accounts. I've worked in every department in banks. Learned how to count money, and I bet I do not count money like you do. It's so different. I'll have to show you one day how I was trained to count money, because I've never ever seen money count the way that I count it. So I won't do it in this video, but maybe I'll make another one on that. I was trained with a lady that was trained out of New York, and it speeds up the process so much. And for those that work in a bank, you would be surprised. You really would be, because they don't train that way anymore. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the dollars. For the fives, it's 5, 10, 15, 20. To give you an example, for fives, I would count half 1, half 2, half 3, half 4, half 5. That would be $50. You would just add a zero. So if you said half 1, you would hold $10. For tens, instead of counting 10, 20, 30, 40, you would just take the number, the first number, which is a 1 on a $10 bill, and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That would be, and add a zero, that would be $120 instead of going 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And then 20s, you would take the number 2, the first number on the bill, and you would go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and you would add a zero, and that's $100. Instead of going 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, it'd be just 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, added zero, $100. It's the fastest way ever to count money. The fives took me a little while to get used to, going half 1, half. 1 and a half is $15. Half 1 and a half. So if you had a half in there, like half 1, half 2, half, that's $25. So anyway, I tell you, I learned a lot. I really did. Yeah. And I was actually in a film one time, several times on TV, where people saw me counting money back to the customers. Of course, they couldn't hear me, but I'd be counting, and it was really fast. And so I was in several films about the bank. You know, they'd be advertising the bank. So that was pretty fun. The other place I worked at was, this is when I went into my government career and I worked for the military, but as a civilian civil service. And I have to tell you, it can be very, very tense, or I don't know. Sometimes I just never was comfortable in my skin meeting the general. And I ended up getting a job with environmental and safety at headquarters. And of course, headquarters is where the general sits, and he is the general of the base. So he is responsible for the entire base, and he has a lot of stress on his shoulders. Every general I have ever met has always been very kind and so smart. But I will tell you, it can be very intimidating because they expect a lot, because they have a lot to keep up with. And especially when I worked in safety, when anybody got hurt or had to go to the hospital or was injured, or even just the hazardous material, working under environmental, it was a very stressful job. And I had worked in so many different areas with the planes, F-15s, F-16s, F-35s. I ran an administrative office. It was. I loved it. I learned a lot about the military. So much respect for the military men and women, and for the civilians men and women. But I have to tell you what my most embarrassing moment was, and I'll never forget it. First of all, working in safety and environmental, some of the people that work with me, they were either military, or sometimes they just worked like at the National Guard, so forth, so on. And this one gentleman worked for me, and he had been called on duty to go to another area out of country. And so, of course, that put my office one down in employees. And in safety, then you have to double up. And like I say, safety, that it is never a dull moment. Something is always going on. We had to do a lot of inspections. My crew was always so busy. I mean, sometimes we would be at work till 6 or 7 o'clock at night doing a report after someone was injured, or either a large piece of equipment went down. Why did it? How did it happen? How was it damaged? Because we had to report all these things to the general through my supervisor. But it was stressful. But the whole time that my employee was gone, I checked on the wife and the children. She had several children, so she was busy, stay-at-home mom. And there were a lot of things that went on that I had some of my members to go put locks on her doors, her windows, help her out with some other issues. There's just a lot going on. And so I was always worried about her. I called her every day. But in the meantime, here we are, running around, and it was time to have a meeting with the general, and we had to have these figures. And so my staff was getting the figures, and it was like a last moment thing that they got the information to me. I had a new person on staff. They were going in the meeting with me with my other staff and my supervisor to meet with the general. And you have to realize when the general walks in the meeting, you stand up. The military people, if they work for you, they salute. I always sort of nodded my head out of respect. Hello, sir. At that time, it was a gentleman, and I said, hello, sir. Well, the other thing I always did when I had a new person on my staff, I always wanted them to feel like the general knew them, because we did work in the headquarters, and sometimes the general would just come roaming around, looking around, seeing what was going on with everybody in the different departments, what you were doing. And so again, it was like every minute, and then your supervisor was coming out and people coming in asking for help. It was just like that all day long. And so because it was a big base, and when I say at headquarters, we were for the entire base. So anyway, we went in this meeting, and I told my new employee, I said, I want to introduce you to the general, because when he sees you in the hallway, he will know who you are. And my supervisor was there. The general walks in, we all stand up, and for some reason, I just had so much on my mind, and I was younger then. And General always came around and shook hands, and I said, good morning, sir. I would like you to meet. And I said the person's name, and I said, and this is General. And I said the wrong name of the general. I've worked for so many generals, and I don't know why I did it. That is a huge no-no. No, you never forget your general's name. Never. I mean, no, for civilian or military, that is probably one of the biggest mistakes you could make, in my eyes. The man that runs the base, you do not forget his name. And my supervisor stepped up and said, this is General so-and-so, and he stuck out his hand to the new employee. I almost went into shock mode, and then I was embarrassed, because I know that my supervisor was embarrassed. The general, I'm sure, was like, what? And then my staff, some of my staff was there. And so it was just an embarrassing moment with me supposed to be a leader in headquarters. So yeah, I've never forgotten that, never will. It's like I can just feel the blood draining out of me. But here's the end of the story. So we went through that meeting, and the general had lots of questions that day. And so we were probably in there 1.5 to 2 hours. And I just sat through the whole thing, and I was just sick. I mean, sick to my stomach. I was a nervous wreck. And I thought, oh my goodness, when I get out of here, what is my boss going to have to say? Is the general going to call my boss in and say, who is this, who is this person? Are they in their right mind? But it was just one of those days that everything was so hectic, and that is really the truth. I was like flying high, getting ready for this meeting. Everything was just going down that day. And I thought to myself, as soon as this meeting is over, I will go and I will apologize to the general and say how sorry and embarrassed that I am, and that it will never happen again. So at the end of this meeting, the general stood up, and he said, I need for somebody to stand up. And he called my name. My legs were so weak, I thought I was going to fall down. And so I stood up, And he says, Bonnie, I am here to honor you and give you a coin for being such a great supervisor to one of your employees. And I thought, what? I'm still like, guys, you'd have had to been there. And you would have to understand what it is like working for a general on a military base. But anyway, I'm still not over it. That was trauma. It was trauma. I was in a trauma mode. But anyway, and he gave me a coin for a civilian, which was a big deal. And what it was is the general had had put together a dinner for these people that had went TDY, one of my employees, to do a mission. And he met with the wives, and he wanted to know if the supervisors had contacted them or tried to reach out while their spouse was gone. And this lady that I had called every day and sent some of my people out to help with some things around home, I guess she gave a wonderful note on how I had helped her and her family. And the general was just saying how he had talked to some of the people and their supervisors had not contacted the family at all and tried to help. And he told my supervisor what an outstanding employee I was, because that what kept up the morale of the military families. And he handed the coin to me, and then he shook my hand, and he said, I'm so honored to have you represent our military, Bonnie, and represent me. And so he walked out, and he said, the meeting is adjourned, and I was left standing, and he walked out, and I looked over at my supervisor, and I said, oh my goodness, I need to talk to you. And he started laughing, and he said, well, this is a good way to end the meeting. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I gave it a few days, and then I got on the general's calendar, and I went down and apologized to him, and he laughed so hard. And I said, sir, I am so sorry. I have never had anything like this to happen, and it just popped out. It's another general I used to serve. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what I was thinking, and I'm so sorry. And he laughed so hard, and he says, well, I have to tell you something, Bonnie. I've never had that to happen, but knowing you, I know that you were so busy and overwhelmed because you've had a lot on your plate, because I talked to your supervisor about you, and he told me that you are one of the hardest working employees he's ever had. And I'm like, oh. So that is one of my most embarrassing moments. And this is way too long, so let me get on with the giveaway. The giveaway ends Sunday, 18 June. Winner will be announced on Monday, 19 June. The secret word is Miss Jackie. To be eligible for the giveaway, you have to be subscribed to both of our channels. It is for the U.S. only. You must have a U.S. address. YouTube has nothing to do with this giveaway. If anything is lost, stolen, damaged, leaks, I cannot be held responsible. If you have any medical issues or any type of allergic reaction with anything that you receive from my giveaway, I cannot be held responsible. About all of my giveaway items, winner will have 48 hours to contact me at bonniesbargain68@gmail.com or my IG account, bonniesbargain68. So let's look at these really quick. I'm going to keep it short because I'm way over. I got too involved in my story. So The first thing is going to be Elizabeth Arden Spray Perfume. It is Red Door. The second thing is going to be the e.l.f. eyeshadows, Pumpkin Spice. Pumpkin Pie. Those are beautiful colors. The next thing is an LA Colors lip oil. And we were to choose 5 items, I believe. I hope that's right. The next thing is let me see what this is. I am so sorry. Wet n Wild. It is a reddish color lipstick, and the name of it is Missy and Fierce. It is a Mega Last Liquid Matte Lipstick. And then the last thing is, it is by James Burke Collection. It is a Make Every Day Count journal. It has gold on the side with the pages, and this is what it looks like. And that is it, and I must say goodbye. I love you, Miss Jackie, and I love all of you. Thank you for being with me today. I appreciate all of your support. It means so, so much. And remember to be a rainbow in someone's clouds today. I'll see you in the next video.